Today I'm going to show you how to make mashed potatoes. This recipe will serve 4 people as a side dish to your proteins. You will need 1.5 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes, 2 teaspoons of salt for when you're boiling the potatoes, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, as well as 1/4 cup of heavy cream, a knife, a peeler, and a small pot for your potatoes. So let's start preparing our potatoes. The first thing you want to do is peel your potatoes, okay? You want to make sure that you first wash these potatoes before you start peeling, and then you're going to peel all of the outer skin off. If you see any little black marks on your potatoes, you want to cut that off. You want to make sure that you get all the little eyes out of the potato, because any of these impurities you will see in the final product of your dish, and you don't want to. So you could either use a knife to cut these little eyes or black marks out, or the side of the peeler does also have a little scoop that you can take it out. Now I started with about 27 ounces of potatoes. You need 1.5 pounds. So by the time I peel and take out any of the imperfections, what will happen is I will have about 24 ounces. All right, so I peeled them on top of a paper towel. You could do it in a garbage bowl. Do whatever makes it easier for you to clean up. Just never directly over the garbage can, because you don't want your potato or your peeler to fall in. Before we continue, let's talk about my choice of potato. A Yukon Gold is more like an all-purpose potato. It's a great mixture of a waxy and mealy potato. When you boil them, they still really maintain their shape, as you will see in the video. And their starch level also makes them a really great candidate for mashing. But Yukon Golds have a very unique flavor that makes them buttery and creamy than a russet potato. Next, we're going to cut our potatoes. Now, you just want to cut them to make sure that they are all the same size. I'm doing them in about a large dice, okay? They don't have to be exact. I just want them all to be similar, because when they start boiling, we want them all to be finished cooking at the same time. So next, I'm going to put them in a pot. I'm going to rinse them to make sure that the water is as clean as possible. And you're going to put enough water in this pot to just cover the potatoes, with a little bit of water above the potatoes, just enough to cover, with about 1 inch above the potatoes, because you want to make sure that there's enough water to cover the potatoes, cook the potatoes, and as the water boils and evaporates, we want to make sure that we don't lose too much water during the process. We're also going to add salt to this water. The salt will really give the potatoes the flavor needed to complete the dish. And if you add it before it starts to boil, it'll absorb more of that flavor, and you'll taste the difference in the final product. We always start our mashed potatoes in cold water, because you want to make sure that they cook at an even rate. If you start with hot water or boiling water, the outside of the potato will cook long before the inside of the potato. As these potatoes come up to a boil, let's talk about the equipment that you're going to need to make mashed potatoes. So here's a couple of things that you could use. This is a potato masher. It'll help you mash or crush your softened potatoes, but you'll have lumps in your final product. This is a food mill. Food mill is going to help you prepare nice, smooth, creamy, lump-free mashed potatoes. After they boil, you push them through the bottom strainer. Or you can use a stand mixer. You can either use the whisk attachment or the paddle attachment to help you produce your potatoes. Sometimes people choose this method because it is faster and you can make larger amounts at one time, but they're the best method in my opinion. So as you can see, my potatoes have come up to a boil. I'm going to lower my flame and let them come to a simmer now, okay? You don't want to boil them rigorously, because you want them to gently cook evenly. Just make sure that you go in every once in a while and test the potatoes for doneness. They need to simmer for about 20 minutes until they are completely cooked all the way through. You should be able to take one and you should be able to cut through it without any effort with a fork or a knife. It should not crumble apart. That means that they are overcooked. It should just be easy to cut through without any resistance. When I just tested my potatoes, I saw that they were ready to be drained. So I'm going to bring them to my sink. I'm going to strain them, and then I'm going to bring them back and leave them in that pot, and I'm going to put them over a low flame to dry out any of that excess moisture that is in the potatoes. In the meantime, I'm going to start melting my butter and heating up my cream. You want to add hot ingredients to your hot potatoes. If you add cold butter and cold cream, you're going to cool down the temperature of the potatoes. So by taking this little extra step, you'll have nice hot potatoes for when you're ready to serve them. So my potatoes have dried. I want to make sure that I stir them around to make sure that nothing is sticking to the bottom. And I'm just going to demonstrate how to use a potato masher. As long as your potatoes are cooked all the way through, you should be able to use a potato masher with ease. You just press it down into the potatoes, rotating different spots as you go along to push through the potatoes through the small holes on the masher. You will end up with some tiny lumps, so I'm going to show you how to use the food mill because that is my preferred method of making mashed potatoes. So I'm going to take these potatoes out of the pot, and I'm going to show you how to use this tool. This tool is great for making purees of all different vegetables. It's also great for pureeing tomato sauce. So I'm going to take my nice hot potatoes and I'm going to put them into the top of the food mill. And all you do is you turn the handle and you rotate it clockwise to push the potatoes through the bottom strainer, and then you rotate it counterclockwise to help release any of the potatoes that have gotten stuck underneath the blade or on the sides, and then you continue that motion clockwise, then counterclockwise until you have passed all of the potatoes through the bottom strainer. And you'll have some nice, thin, rice-like looking strands of potatoes. Now this method may seem a little bit time consuming, but you will see that the results are well worth the effort. So I'm just doing my last bit of effort here to get the rest of the potatoes through the bottom. I don't want to leave anything behind. And you will see that when I lift the food mill, that I have nice little strands of potatoes, okay? What's great about this method is that you're pretty much guaranteed to get mashed potatoes that are creamy, fluffy, because of the limited mixing, and also free of lumps. After you finish passing them through the food mill, you're going to add your heavy cream and butter that you have melted, that is nice and warm, and season with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just remember that we added salt while we were boiling, so you want to make sure that you go in and taste before you add any salt, because the amount of salt that we put inside of the potatoes while they were boiling may have just been enough. I'm just going to give it a couple of gentle folds just to combine the ingredients. I'm going to taste it one last time and add more seasoning if necessary. And then I'm going to transfer them to my serving bowl and get them ready to serve with the rest of my meal. If you need to reheat potatoes at any time, you may want to add a little bit of cream to the bottom of the pan and heat it gently until it's hot all the way through. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. Let us know if you make it at home. You can serve these potatoes alongside your favorite chicken, beef, and even some seafood dishes. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell for notifications.